No power on earth, if it labors beneath the burden of fear, can possibly be strong enough to survive. I would rather be wrong, by God, with Plato than be correct with those men. Let arms give place to the robe, and the laurel of the warriors yield to the tongue of the orator. The countenance is the portrait of the soul, and the eyes mark its intention. Those wars are unjust which are undertaken without provocation. For only a war waged for revenge or defense can be just. What is sweeter than lettered ease? Wisdom is the only thing which can banish sorrow from the breast. To be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to remain always a child. Not to know what happened before one was born is always to be a child. Freedom will bite back more fiercely when suspended than when she remains undisturbed. Those who lack within themselves the means for living a blessed and happy life will find any age painful. The fruit of too much liberty is slavery. The good life is impossible without a good state, and there is no greater blessing than a well-ordered state. When you are aspiring to the highest place, it is honorable to reach the second or even the third rank. But I must at the very beginning lay down this principle: friendship can only exist between good men. What is dishonorably got is dishonorably squandered. There are no snares more dangerous than those which lurk under the guise of duty or the name of relationship. Be, rather than seem. In all matters, before beginning, a diligent preparation should be made. Love is the attempt to form a friendship inspired by beauty. The causes of events are ever more interesting than the events themselves. Instead, let virtue herself, by her own unaided allurements, summon you to a glory that is genuine and real. We are all servants of the laws in order to be free. Is not prosperity robbed of half its value if you have no one to share your joy? Old age, the crown of life, our play's last act. Nothing cruel is in fact beneficial, for cruelty is extremely hostile to the nature of man, which we ought to follow. For walk where we will, we tread upon some story. If you have a library in your garden, everything will be complete. What then is freedom? The power to live as one wishes. We rule the world and our wives rule us. It's not by strength or speed or swiftness of body that great deeds are done, but by wisdom, character, and sober judgment. We should not be too confident in our belief of anything. For what I lack in experience I make up for in diligence. Lucretius and Cicero testify to the view that people dream about the things that concern them in waking life. Honesty is the best policy. The purpose of education is to free the student from the tyranny of the present. For the whole life of a philosopher is, as the same philosopher says, a meditation on death. If no use is made of the labors of past ages, the world must remain always in the infancy of knowledge. It is useless to know what shall come to pass. It is a miserable thing to be tormented to no purpose. The brief arc of our days, O Cestius, prevents us from launching prolonged hopes. An unjust peace is better than a just war. This shows how a man who practices exercise and self-control can preserve some of his original vigor even when he grows old. Why do you insist the universe is not a conscious intelligence when it gave birth to conscious intelligences? No one can be a sound judge if he does not give due weight to convincing suspicions. There is nothing so absurd that some philosopher has not already said it. We are born for justice, and what is justice based, not on opinion, but on nature? Thou shouldst eat to live, not live to eat. A letter does not blush. Art is born of the observation and investigation of nature. Nothing is too absurd for some philosopher to have said it. However one defines man, the same definition applies to us all. The extreme of right is the extreme of wrong. The rational treatment of any subject ought to take its start from definition, that readers may understand what the author is writing about. And so, it can't be repeated often enough, you should love after you have judged, not judge after you have loved. But since the resources of individuals are small, while the multitude of those who need them is unbounded, there is nothing so absurd that it has not been said by some philosopher. In anger, nothing right nor judicious can be done. Nothing is generous that is not at the same time just. Nobody can give you wiser advice than yourself. Justice is the mistress and queen of all the virtues. No power is strong enough to be lasting if it labors under the weight of fear. I do not understand what the man who is happy wants in order to be happier. The egoist loves himself without rivals. Cannot people realize how large an income is thrift? A friend is, as it were, a second self. What he sees often, he does not wonder at, even if he does not know why it is. If something happens which he has not seen before, he thinks it a prodigy. They follow nature as the most perfect guide to a good life. Now, the man to open his ears widest to flatterers is he who first flatters himself and is fondest of himself. In tragedy anything comic is a blemish, and in comedy anything tragic is ugly. See you in the next videos.